I'm the host. Yep. Sounds good. Yeah, yeah. We can edit this, of course. So I just rather record.
What are you wearing today?
Oh, the cologne? Oh,
No,
it's
what's your t-shirt? I thought that
joking.
was I thought that was the Max or something. Sam Keith. No, it was bad. It was Kate Bush. Oh, in like a weird anime, not
Yeah,
anime
yeah,
style, but
yeah,
outside of
yeah.
that. Okay,
Well,
cool.
it was at the, like when I was young kids, if you bootlegged a shirt, fucking cops would knock down your door. And I'm not even kidding. Like you draw a picture of Kate Bush and put it on a t-shirt and sell it to 12 of your friends, you might have cops knocking at your door. So it's just
Or is it more like recording albums on tape from the radio? There
no.
was that, or was that Poison album? Don't record this album, or was that Venom? That was Venom, actually.
That I'm just talking about like fan art, like making a fan t-shirt, like making fan t-shirts. Like you would see people at Comic Cons, let's say, make a Motley Crue t-shirt, just like this Kate Bush one. But they would get busted. That people would come in there, take all their stuff down. It was just like a fan love of thing. No one was making a ton of money. Like people will say, well, that's bootleg, and they don't understand what bootlegging is. Bootlegging's like done by the train load, by the fucking
Trafficking.
yeah, shipload. Like your shipping containers are full of DVDs or whatever media they're, pro
There's a conflation
media.
between bootlegging and trafficking and making your own original art, and then somebody not liking your original art simply because you make Princess Peach pornography and Nintendo doesn't like that. So
Yeah, yeah, that stuff. Well, yeah, I get it. I did a bunch of these Star Wars dick pins, and I was really hoping for. Did you ever see them?
I think I might have seen them.
Of course, I wish I had them around me right at the moment, and I'd probably do it when we take a break. I'll grab them and show them
Hmm.
after the break. But they're these dick-shaped pins, and I was really hoping to get a. I've gotten cease and desist before, so I was hoping to
Interesting.
get one in this new day. I was like, everyone's pushing it with the copyrights. I'm going to push it. So I did fucking strep Dick Vader, the Dictator, and his shape is a dick. Then I did R2P2, all these, whatever. But my point is, I put them out there to get a cease and desist. Did not get any heat from Disney at all. Did not get any takedown notices. They sold so quick, and they were very popular. And so I was just blown away by how things have changed as far as copyright goes, and how I was able to get away with that. And then
Hmm.
someone put out a Mickey Mouse one right after that, a round one that just had Mickey's head and said cease and desist in the Disney fonts. They were like,
Hmm.
we were all egging him on to
Right.
give us some work, actually. A cease and desist gets us work.
I actually just got back from it was called Modular on the Spot, which is basically a Eurorack meeting in Philadelphia. I guess it happens every 3 to 4 weeks, but the premise is that if you're into synthesizer and electronic music, it's a little open mic in the afternoon or evening, and you just play for 10 minutes, and there's 7, 8 people. The same thing happened in San Francisco with Resident Electronic Music Monthly at Noisebridge. This is kind of that same project, but in Philadelphia, and it just made me thought today after when I played about how we are the only 20 people in a city of 1.8 million people, more than San Francisco, that tend to like Eurorack synthesizers. And this all 20 people are the only ones. You would think like with that math, it would be like 100 people. But it just made me thought about why the DIY space or kind of this Epicurean society of people gathering together today is actually much more difficult than it was with all this internet and technology. You would think people would meet for the most clandestine reasons, like a furry convention out in Pittsburgh, but it's just very difficult just for people into synthesizers to meet up today.
Well, it's not difficult. There's nothing difficult about it. It's the same as it was before. What is the weirdness about that? You're right. You think it would be able to drive people to the streets, but it doesn't. It keeps us, it's a TV. So as long as we're broadcast, like one of the most, I thought about something similar to what you're talking about. One of the most important things before the internet would make you so big a big deal is getting in a newspaper or getting on a TV on a news.
Right.
If you made it onto one of the three channels, now I did often in my life. And so when there was only three channels, I made it on the news when I was younger. And you have everyone from across the country calling your house, say, well, I heard you're on the local news. I heard you're on TV. The phone would ring for a week. Everyone would call you from your whole family talking about, heard you made it on the TV. and you were just standing in back of the weather guy at the football game, let's say. But it was big news because you were, everyone in your neighborhood saw it. Everyone, you'd go out to the grocery store, saw you on TV. Everyone would see it. Everyone. It wasn't like of course, only three channels. Anyway, I'm sorry, I'm going on and on about it.
I've made the newspaper before. I believe I made the Philadelphia Inquiry. It was in 2017 during, it was kind of a mixed protest, and somebody asked me, and they called me the Pilleater, capitalizing Peel and E, and called me an art school student of sorts.
And
And I
that's how
thought
you
that
got.
was pretty cool because it was in the paper and it was digitized online as well. So I guess, but that's 2017. That's really different from 88.
Yeah, what were we talking about? There was a context of it was like, oh, people not going out anymore. And it's like when we had those newspapers and stuff, there was a lot more. You had to leave to get a newspaper. Like I was thinking of the Chicago Weekly when I was on the cover of a newspaper, Chicago Weekly, where that's where you had on every Wednesday night and Thursday was the official day the weekly would come out. And you'd have to go to get that newspaper to see what was going to go on that weekend. What shows are playing. It was no, it wasn't on the phone. You had to go look it up. And so I remember you made a point Wednesday night to go find a reader. It was the Chicago Reader, or Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon. Everyone made a point to get out and go get those things, and didn't just come to their lap. So it was those two things of not having to get a newspaper or get the news, and then having the satisfaction of making the news anytime you really want. Just putting a camera in front of your face has changed the vibe of all of this stuff. Because it's not as impressive or as important to films. Like be on
We're
camera.
doing it now. So it's just like if you can do this like 5 days a week, people take the medium for granted. If there's TikTok videos, that kind of has to replace YouTube. And I'm way behind. I used to think YouTube was it, but now YouTube is in decay because YouTube's so inflated. It's TikTok now. And with the TikTok AI stuff and kind of post Microsoft SAM, you can make really cool wiki articles into animated films in 30 to 40 seconds. And you're just rehashing what's already on Wikipedia in cartoon form on TikTok. And that's kind of making this new dopamine hit thing other than pretty women on TikTok. And as much as I would like to get into that, and I've made some TikTok videos before, I have that same kind of precious, no, this has got to be a good 30-second, 1 minute art film that I'm going to do. And I don't want it to just be edible, you slide and forget like it's Tinder or something. So I think people are still taking the medium of film for granted by saying that it's so mandatory that who cares now? It's just almost like all this effort you put into it, people are demanding more and more and more, which is beyond what a single person can do nowadays.
Well, that's what makes it all so special, isn't it? It's
Mm-hmm.
like when it takes when they make it so complicated, it takes 12 people to put out a zine. It becomes a magazine. It becomes Time magazine. It becomes an institution. It becomes journalism. It becomes everything else but this idea of the simple idea of seeing a fire across the street and writing down what you saw and reporting it to the people in the town over. And so it's that's how I've seen things. They've made things really complex with this stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how you kids can keep up with this fucking
It's
paper.
more like people are becoming illiterate, or that literacy is becoming exclusive for people who can read English. And the thing is,
I
you're
don't know
starting to
about
have another generation of people who just like, if they are going to write, it's going to be more cartoony in its form and not exactly. People have a visual. They see in visuals now. They don't see in like intricate logical, because we could see everything now. It seems like writing can be done by AI, and when we put all this effort in to make 60,000 words, it can't comprehend to someone doing cartoon pornography or showing their naked body or something. It has some visual power over it. I wouldn't say it's better, but I think really smart people know that they're reserved to read, and it's hard to attract that clientele if everybody is deduced down to viewing numbers or something like that. And I think of everything as, like I went to Modular on the spot today, and everybody gets recorded on Instagram or it's live streamed on YouTube anyway that you can take as archive. So it's like you don't even have to go to the event. You could just watch it at home on your computer. And it's like the meat world and the net world in this weird cyberpunk terminology.
I don't know where we started with this. I feel like you were talking about something totally different than what I was saying. So I was sort of lost there for a second. You have to forgive me. I'm sort of
It's
lost
just
on.
more about like DIY communities and how it's like the problem we're facing versus like, can a new generation do that? Or it's like the death of the basement show, the death of the hardcore show, the death of the DIY event, the all
Well,
ages thing.
it's not the death, it changes. I remember before people, when I was younger, would talk about, well, the underground's dead or something like that. There's no such thing as the underground. I think, we keep looking to the past and thinking it's the future. But the underground, when you look over your shoulder, isn't going to be the underground when you look in front of you. It's a different thing. Your generation has made new words for things that have words already, and they're perfectly fine words. But you guys are rewriting the script for some reason.
That person is a square versus that person's a normie, etc.
Yeah, incel, whatever. Right. So it's the same fucking concept. These conceptual words just change a little. It'll change a little bit here and there, but the concept's the same. Of the word. So it's like all I'm saying is like you all have decided to change things. So when you talk about DIY, I was sort of laughing the handful of times you brought it up, and you brought it up here, and it was like that's where I'm like DIY. When I remember laughing about it being when Home Depot stole the idea, like Home Depot when these stores, Menards, and all these big fucking stores started going everywhere. All of a sudden we saw on cable TV these TV shows that would fix up homes, and they started this DIY craze, and they
I'm not
literally
gonna lie. I remember in 2011 at community college, I was starting my own little zine called Fringe Magazine, and when presented to a class, I said, "This is a DIY zine," and somebody said, "Is that like the home and gardening channel?"
there you go.
So
Exactly.
they already marketed DIY for like housewives and Karens and wine
Right.
moms. So
So when you say the word, I'm like, well, what comes to my head is like, oh, the word's coming back because that word was killed for us. We quit using DIY because of Home Depot and that kind of guy. We just didn't, that never was used again. They co-opted the name and really overboard with TV commercials, game shows. It just was like, this is over. The idea of DIY is not a, is not a,
it's not like a crust punk anarchist thing or
well,
inner
it's not an
city.
independent thing anymore. It's not of innovation. It's just do it your own fucking self. Do it your own fucking self. Don't bother us. Don't ask for more services than you were worth, you scumbag peasant. That's how I take it with Home Depot or whatever. They're do it yourself.
I mean, it just had that huge attachment to like hardcore music and punk stuff. And so the whole Xerox zines come to mind that you can just make your own art and then share it and distribute it. But of course, the years we're, of course, talking about is like somewhere between like 78 to like 1990 or 1995, like that good 2 decades. And then the home gardening stuff comes like late 90, 2000. So yeah, it is kind of, I think we're witnessing a time where there was two generations that were in that golden age or gold rush. And then when you have millennial and zoomer get in, it's kind of like, well, everything has been said and done. All the major bands got on major labels. You can't replicate already something has been established. And it's kind of like the room is being filled. And it's not that we're looking for new and originality. It's just that all the positions have been filled and we might be at the death of something. It has lived its life for 50 to 70 years,
You
almost a
mean it?
century.
But it's not even things don't ever die. I don't see them dying. I see them turning into something else, morphing. It's like hearing that would be like hearing the death of vinyl. And I was like, when that was said, I was like, so fucking what? We have cassettes. It's here. It's right on this cassette. It's just changed forms. It's a CD now. It's just changed forms. But everyone's like, it's the death of. I'm like, no, the songs remain. They're here. They're right here on this cassette. The death of vinyl. It never
Well,
died.
now it's just digital streaming. You know, why buy a CD when you could just stream Eminem's new album and it's free? You don't have to pay anyone. I mean, that's kind of the suspicious part, but you can hypothetically get J download or illegally,
There's
quote
not really a
unquote, download.
suspicious part about that. It's just different. Again, again, it's fucking different. Like these artists like Weird Al Yankovic or Eminem complaining about fucking streaming and not getting any money from streaming. They never got money from radio stations. When it was only radio, AM and FM, they could play a song in Chicago on WLS AM and hit 19 states. So they could broadcast your music to 19 states. That was pretty good. Like 19 states, everyone in that state could just tune in and hear the new
You're right.
whatever song it was. So it's like they didn't get paid for that either. And everyone in those states heard it. And those artists, like let's say Johnny Cash was happy. He's like, my artwork's being heard in 19 states right now as they play it on this radio station. So those artists were really happy to have that exposure. But so now it's like the conversation's changed, but nothing's really changed except for the fact that it's one person collecting all the money, which is Spotify. One person.
Right. It's Spotify now. The
And it's
monopoly
not,
is Spotify.
yeah, it's not 300 radio stations across the country that are dealing with advertising revenues. And, there's a whole food cycle of life there where it's like, you're running a radio station, you're selling ads, the musicians and record labels want you to be successful, so they help you sell ads. It's this industry, that eats itself. And so I just I don't know. Now the only thing different, like I said, is Spotify is the one person who's collecting all the money and has all the power, which really sucks because now I delete Spotify just the other day. I'm trying to use Amazon Music, and it's like fucking impossible. Like these fucking apps never work proper.
It seems like that music is not an issue. It's rather the industry has called everything content, quote unquote, whether it's visuals, music. And you're not a musician, you're a content creator. You're not an actor, you're a content, or you're not a novelist, you're a content creator. And so this kind of mold that has happened in the last decade has pretty much destroyed the arts in the mainstream business view. Whether they ask, what's your content, aka what's your value? And so if you can just make AI to generate an alt lit novel or AI to make electronic music, then it seems like we're in this giant psychosocial, no, I would say parasocial, psychological psy-art markets of sort where everybody's isolated and you're just spewing out things and it's all becomes a whoredom of Instagram. And I think that's very concerning with some of the newer people who are in teenage years thinking, oh, I just have to show my body and pretend to be a culture vulture or poser. And then I guess authenticity follows. And rather, it's just more like an actor of sorts where we have no connection with the art, nor does the viewer has so. And I think that's kind of an issue, a part of the problem.
Of what? What problem are we talking about?
We're talking about art. And so, like, art gets reduced down to content. It's no longer art, it's
That was a
content.
that was a hard thing to hear when people started calling it content. I know I fought that word and would fight people for it felt like years. Like don't say that.
It's been around almost a decade now, and I
Yeah,
think
don't say.
people are coming onto it, being like, "Hey, I don't
I
think the
say it
Mona
now.
Lisa is content."
I say it now because it's just part of the vernacular. It's in the air. So it's you have to be able to communicate and
Yeah,
be
the
able.
vernacular, right?
Yeah, so I don't want to be a part of that, but
It
I
follows
have.
a certain ideology. Like if there's another record by your favorite band, that's just content without the visuals, and then you consume and throw it away, and then you're expecting something the next week, which is just not possible for the human person to do that in such a small amount. It's really difficult to make original 60 minutes of music, and it's really hard to get people's attention to listen to pop songs nowadays or just your original music. And I think it really, as I said before, you have to have some kind of really smart people to put down their time and appreciation in order to say, this is an artist, this is something special. And I think you had that culture 30, 40 years prior. But today we're so inflated with all this technology, everything is now content that people are not thinking outside the box. People are just following orders by the state and being exploited by Spotify or something. Like YouTube is our only record label in reality.
Yeah, you say a lot there, so it's hard it's like a rant. It's hard. I don't know if there's anything for me to grab onto there. There's a lot to be being said there. Um,
Right. It's just like in terms of TikTok, it's like I can make a TikTok stuff, and then like it's true, the algorithms are better on TikTok, so I can make a silly video and get 1,000 views. But if I did it on YouTube today, what's popular is like 100 or 200 views because everyone now has an account on YouTube and everybody has a channel. It's there's not enough subscribers
Well,
to distribute on.
but we knew that from the beginning when I did that project that year at the wheel thing that I'm very proud of. We knew that then when the flip phones had small camera pictures. And if you were in tech, you understood what was going to happen. Everyone was going to be their own publisher. Everyone was going to have their own podcast and their own radio show. And as a publisher and a producer of audio and stuff like that, it was putting me out of business. So I understood that kind of stuff pretty well. Um,
It's like this stuff too. Like I remember in 2017, you had a kind of a rivalry of other self-publishing. You know, you did have Lulu, but Amazon didn't have Kindle Direct Publishing yet. It had CreateSpace, and then CreateSpace was bought by Amazon, and then it became Kindle Direct Publishing, which was almost like 5, 6 years ago, and that kind of put Lulu out of business as well. You only use Lulu if you want to have a PDF and a soft cover for your own private projects. It's not there to like sell illicit zines. You could, but it's just it won't make you money, or it's just people will not know. And then there's a distribution button on Lulu that just sends your work to KDP, Amazon anyway. So you could just say is that Jeff Bezos has given everyone the power, as you said, to be their own publisher. You don't need a third party anymore. Like the purpose of a publisher and to get signed on the publisher was not, it was also to expose your work to new people and markets. And that maybe I could walk into City Lights Books and there's Joe Nally. It's right there, and a publisher helped put me out there. But now everything's on me and you, and we just rely on Bezos print on demand technology, and everything now is TikTok clouding all by ourselves. It's as if the market is uh, eliminating extra forces that were once careers and jobs and has made everything more limited, Malthusian, and pretty much it's a little difficult. It's too much. Like the person can't be all these things at once. We can only focus at art and do that.
See, so this sounds the same thing as from when I was younger and people would complain about touring their band. And it's like that kind of stuff is where innovation stops. You're looking backwards at things and how they used to be, and that's never going to be the case. How they used to be isn't going to be how they are today. That's everything's changed. And if you can't, and I feel fucking bad for people looking back when they get to my age. I seldom look backwards, and if I do now, I'd be like, holy fuck, I would be so lost if I just sat in my era or whatever. But my point is, I don't see a lot of stuff different, throughout. But I see the tools are different. The people aren't. Um, I just don't. I don't think Jeff Bezos did anything. I think the scientist who created the internet did everything for us, and it was a brilliant thing. I still think it's a great. I want to start thinking it's not great because of how dumb things have gotten. But I can't help but think the internet was as one of the greatest inventions. That
Mhm.
before the internet, it was impossible to be confused like we are today. It was
Right.
impossible to be confused. We
To
had
have this Star Wars
but very few
technology.
answers.
Yeah.
We had very few answers, but they were the ones. It was the just take a right. We didn't we didn't have all this information. We weren't able to question our government like we are now, or the media, or So it's anyway. I'm rambling on, but it's a really interesting.
Just think that we have Zoom, we have the Star Wars technology that in just 3 minutes by like a beeper phone or texting, we get on and then we do the Zoom thing. And then by today, it's like we have a professional 60, 70-minute video that would take almost forever to make in the 2000s era, like 20 years ago.
Right,
It's
right.
it's rapid technology.
Not last Christmas, but the Christmas before that, I did an AI video. Maybe it was last Christmas. I did an AI video, music, song, did it through all these chat bots and stuff like that, where they wouldn't let me use the word Satan or Satanist. So I had to have all these workarounds. But it was incredibly fun. I did it with the musician, and it was incredibly fun and fast paced. And we were able to produce a fucking song it was like about goths and Christian crusades and Christmas and how it's a greedy holiday. But it really came out really fucking cool. So I think when you're saying that though, when you talk about things of the old time, I think of like fireworks and how fireworks have got to be obsolete at this point with those drone shows. With those drone shows, I don't see why we need fireworks anymore. Why would we
I
need
think the Chinese like fireworks, the
that?
pyrotechnicians.
They're
I
also the
think it's
ones that do
cultural.
yeah, they also do the fucking, but they're also doing those fucking drone shows. Like it's amazing. So they're killing their own business, is what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
why.
I this is interesting. Like you could just fly a drone and then shoot the fireworks in the sky to make even more intricate pyrotechnician shit in the
That too, you
sky.
can paint with all those tools, right? It's a tool. But when I see, I don't know. Like I'm saying, like people could go in the future. Uh, Fireworks, they're all gone. I'm like, yeah, but they've just actually just improved. It's now drone shows. These are cool. These are better. They're better.
I've had an ideal that as transhumanism advance and we get body modification, my theory is that people will be able to get color dye in their sperm. So when they do porno videos and they do like a cum shot and ejaculate, they can make their sperm blue or pink or green instead of just white. And so what that would imply is that pornography will be much more colorful, much more cartoony, much more not, and that's kind of the same what you're telling me about fireworks is that you now have advanced technology with drones. So weird things you couldn't do with normal fireworks, you can do, and that becomes the dominant medium. So I think in the future, there won't be just porn, there'll be like super porn where it's like transhumanist people and cartoon figures doing it. That seems like a cartoon would be, but it's in reality of like extreme body modification that will then mimic the desires of people's huge expectations of what it means to live now in that peculiar zeitgeist.
Porn is going to become the biggest addiction we've ever had. That'll become the biggest addiction problem we've ever had as humans over beer or anything else will be porn. When that technology ramps up, where you're able to, when AI is able to read your stuff, understand you, understand what you like, and be able to construct scenes for you based on what it knows triggers you, and you're going to have these clamps and other attachments, tools that'll be warm and moving and throbbing and why would you want it? Like that's where I keep thinking. I mean, is life anything but our nerve endings? Or
Right. There's more to it. I think it's more ideology. Like
what?
if
Wait, wait,
AI,
wait. What'd you say now? You said there's more to it.
I think there's more to it than just
To what?
nerves. I think
To
it's
life.
not just
Right.
yeah to
You're
life than
saying
just
some,
like
there's more to life.
it's not this
You get what I'm
naturalism
saying?
cause and
Like
effect.
it's
Yeah,
like
I get what you're saying.
because I could lay here for a couple, 2, 3 weeks with my nipples being played with and probably never move out of the bed.
Yeah, that would be like the naturalist position. It's a cause and effect, but that would result. But there's more to life than just naturalism. I would say there's an ideological form to what we like. If in my virtual pornography reality, I get the most niche thing that's possible, that individual niche ideal means that I want other people to relate to me. It's not just this solipsism where only my reality. Certainly, there are solipsists and these Diogenes types where okay, I this is my reality. Nobody will understand, whatever, isolated. But then it's like there's this human need to find others who have our same incredible radical niche ideals as the other person does. It's kind of like Alvin Plantinga and God in Other Minds that, Christianity can only be justified if another external person has the same sensory belief as you do. You don't need evidence. You don't need to prove God. You just have a belief in another person justifies you. That could be the creation of this subculture that wasn't even plausible in the 70s because of this hyper AI technology. It's going to be more, we're going to see like an open gay neo-Nazi party and like furry communists and things like that, which makes people so unique and niche that it's almost like will contrast. The rhyme zones are going crazy and things like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to think about, but it's a possibility. It's a possibility. That's the thing because if AI can like make if it reads my mind and it wants me to have like Korean AI punk rock pornography, then I'm not the only one that just thinks that. Somebody else has to summon that. And if I know there's other people who summon that, that means we're in an Epicurean family together. And therefore, it's like identity politics 2.0, where it's like, this is our Lions Club, this is our clan. And we have to tell others that it's ideology, that it's like almost a religion. And that's why I think it's more than just naturalism. It's like the naturalists find their interest and then say, this is what makes us more meaningful.
Interesting.
Think of it like a hobby, like a toy train hobby, or like you're into Warhammer 40K or like Eurorack Sims. It's like the basis of the thesis of why you would start that Epicurean society, why you'd go into someone's basement in New Brunswick, New Jersey to start. You have your all ages show, you're all playing quote unquote shoegaze. One night you're all playing ska. It takes a type of person to get into that music and that interest. And the same could be said about sexual interest or like artistic interest. And it's like everyone's so isolated. You're in Ohio, that guy's in Texas, this person's in Washington State. But if you put them all in the same room, and that's what the internet is doing right now, last 15 years, eventually we're going to get these like weird spaces where it's just like a hyperloop or a teleporter is going to put people in the same city. Just like how all the gays moved to San Francisco, you're going to have like people saying we're all going to meet in Pittsburgh for a big furry convention, which has happened. So it's something to consider.
Do you watch this show Black Mirror?
I haven't seen it.
Okay. I don't watch shows, but someone turned me on to Black Mirror, and I watched a bunch of them. And there was a show on there. There was an episode on there with these two guys playing a role playing game,
Mm-hmm.
a video game where you link with the helmets and all that kind of shit. Oh, fuck you, these
Yeah,
people.
yeah, that's cool. It's a part of the. Yeah, but yeah,
And
there's a RPG LARP game.
yeah, whatever. One of them was a girl, one of them was a guy, and they started fucking around in this game, and it was like they were old friends. So it was weird. It was similar to what you were saying. That's all I'm saying. It's very
Well,
similar.
there's a book by Larry Niven. It's called Dream Park, and that was the first science fiction novel to envision the live action role playing paradigm, which then people emulated Dream Park and made LARPing their own weird reality without the helmets. But you could see how Larry Niven in Dream Park is making people are just citing it back to something that's going to come in the future.
Warhammer 40K. What do you know about them?
It's by Games Workshop. It was a spin-off from Warhammer Fantasy, but it takes 40,000 years in the future, and it's kind of
The
like Judge
game?
Dredd. Yeah, the game
Okay.
with Space Marines and Tyranids and Orcs and Dark Elf.
There was a band called Warhammer 40K or something like that.
There's Bolt Thrower too, which is a 40K speed metal band, and
Oh,
that's
really?
all just
Okay.
40K. That's all just 40K stuff and aesthetics
What
and
does 40K mean with this stuff?
40,000 years in the future. So you have
Oh,
Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40K. Warhammer 40,000 years, and it takes English comics, Judge Dredd,
there we go. I'm all out with
2000
it.
AD. You know,
I know we have 6 minutes left on this one, but I'm sorry, I'm a little out of it. But it's the way it is. You know,
it's no Warhammer 40K is fun. I don't play the miniature games, but I like Space Hulk and some of the other stuff they do, the board games in particular. It'll come back to me, but a lot of the Games Workshop stuff is great. The golden age of like 80s and 90s,
so you play board games,
all the time. Board game nights tomorrow, actually.
and where do you go to do this?
The board game store in King of Prussia is called the Complete Strategist. There's the main ones in Manhattan, but there's a King of Prussia branch. I know everyone there, and it's Monday night, and people meet in a room outside of Philadelphia, and for 5 hours we just play board games and talk to people, talk in front of like a human being, not just on a computer. And we're not the computers, but we kind of act as the computers to play the game, and we're kind of get lost in our own Johann Huizinga magic circle of types. So gaming is its own, especially board gaming, is its own different reality than video games. And I think that's very therapeutical to play, and it's akin to making music or art together.
That's cool. I've played board games very little.
I'm
Not
pretty sure there's a Chicago store if you look for it.
I'm sure there is. I'm not against them. I need friends. I don't have friends at this
Yeah,
moment.
that's why I would go to the board game. I've been doing it for more than 10 years since I was 17, 18. I have a book called Ludism, Board Games That Will Get You High, on Amazon. And that's just
Oh,
board
I
games
love
I've
it.
been playing that give me that kind of exetorial experience where it's like, hey, these are like art, James Turrell art installations. It's like Cosmic Encounter or like Ice Pyramids. And like, I feel like I'm playing with other people, but I'm like messing with art objects, and it's more than just a role playing game. It's like medium with all these intricate rules that give me a different level of creative expression. I think board games do that in such an amazing way. Yeah, it's like the same experience why people play, pencil and paper role playing games.
My mind is in another place. All I can think of is my other shit, my other stuff. I keep thinking about this role playing game with the stuff I'm looking outside my window with, going, I wonder how that would work out with the alcoholics down the block at this bar.
Well, it's role playing games have its own literature. I mean, Gary Gygax is from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. The Gygax family, they have Gary Con in near Milwaukee. Always wanted to go, but you got some of the old guys like Tom Wham who've made weird games that were like pencil and paper games. It's not just like I tell you what to do. I mean, there's a level of Satanism too that like was attached to Dungeons and Dragons. It was a part of the Satanic Panic, classic Dungeons and
Oh yeah.
Dragons.
Oh, I know about the board games. I do. Of course, Varg is the
Yeah, he has his own game.
it's his
Varg has
own
his own
game.
game too. So depending how you are a game master, there's similarities between being the game master and some kind of Charles Manson satanic control, but it's hard to explain. But you can see how Satanists and occultists and Order of the Nine angles have been able to hijack that. But it's two different realities. That's like if you're a Satanist into board gaming, totally understand. But I think there's levels to it. You can understand the chaos magic, but you can also be lawful about it and control. And I understand the Satanism behind board games as well.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm not a big board game person, and I liked playing video games when I was younger, but again, they're so addictive to me. I can't have them in the house.
Right.
I'll
That's
just
why I only have a Nintendo Entertainment System and Neo Geo and like basic game systems that didn't evolve past 96.
any of those fucking things, I still play all day long. Like I saw someone was playing Donkey Kong. Something happened somewhere.
Donkey Kong 1, right? For
Right now, when I
NES.
saw Donkey Kong 1 being played, and I was like, it was a flashback to my childhood because I played it all day long. And I was like, the fuck, Donkey Kong? And I wanted to sit down and play with that thing so bad. And it's only been in this recent like year or two that I've been wanting to play with things from my childhood for some it's whatever goes
Yeah,
on
I
with.
got a box of NES carts right over there, and I've just NES carts you can get on AliExpress, which is China. You can get them brand new for like $8 free shipping, and like today in the United States market, you'd have to pay like $60 used. But hey, they make them brand new, whatever game you want on AliExpress for $8 free shipping, and I've been using that to buy brand new old games or bootleg games, and I love it. It's great. So I can just replay some obscure NES titles I never played before. And that's kind of been my only go-to game system. Because again, I only can play video games for like 10, 20 minutes and then put it down. And once I beat it or once I get a high score, that's my rank. But I'd rather be spending an hour or 3 hours playing board games with somebody in a session. And that's, I think, is the magic of board game night because you're actually talking to another human being and being intimate and having this weird platonic dialogue while you're messing with this medium and expressing. And there's
My
a whole
goodness,
art expression to board gaming.
you saying that just is sounds so relieving to me. Like, let's talk at the break. We got 1 minute, so I was cut off.
Okay. Just
Go,
cut off. Yeah.
let
Cut
me
it off
write that
now.
down. Okay. All right, peace. Talk to you in 10 minutes.
There you go.
There you go. Set a record anyway.
But anyway, to me,
So what was
games
I
are really
saying?
cool.
What was I
About
saying when we signed off on the last one?
video games, board games, kind of this like a different cultural value. And you were asking me about that.
No, I fucking had a point and I was just getting to a point and I was like, well, say it in this next one. Fuck, you kidding me?
No, because I'll rewind. It was about games and how I think maybe when I was 15 years old, I went to my first board game store and I was amazed that there was something called Doom the board game because it was like, okay, there's Doom the video game, but I can't imagine playing the board game. And I bought it when I was 14. And then on my 15th birthday, I played it at the board game store and I'm like, this is so surreal. This isn't nothing like video games. And I kind of was just convinced at that point that the board gaming as a medium, it was untapped artistic potential. I went so far to write my MA thesis about it at School of Visual Arts.
Bullshit is what I'm saying. Is that's not where I was going with. I was going to say something. It was real exciting to me. I knew I should have taken a note. I smoked some weed this week and it really fucks me up. It's like I smoke a little weed and it just fucks me up for days, like my thinking.
There's a fantastic book by Edward Rosenthal. It's called 100 Ways to Get High Without Drugs. And it was written in the late 60s. He was an advocate of Timothy Leary. But he said, hey, listen, the reason why people smoke marijuana, do acid, do LSD, do cocaine, whatever, they're experiencing a particular high from that drug. It doesn't mean you have to do these drugs, but here are similar activities akin to those highs without doing drugs. And that's what Rosenthal went out to
What
say to explain the hippie aesthetics and all that.
what's the name of the book?
I think it's 101 Ways to Get High Without Drugs by Edward Rosenthal. And I'll look that up again.
There's
But it was
another
a very
person who talks about addiction being all rooted in a trauma.
that's The Body Keeps the Score, isn't it?
That is one person, but there's a gentleman that goes out there and does speaking engagements and talks about. But yeah.
But it's the Book of Highs, and Timothy Leary was a fan of it. But
Book of what?
it's the book Ed Rosenthal, The Book of Highs, 255 Ways to Alter Your Consciousness Without Drugs. There's also the classic 70s edition as well. Um, but I found it very influential, that vintage copy, because it puts into the insight of what the some of the parts of the hippie movement was, where it's like perhaps that you saw ecstasy through the medium of drugs, and we're really not talking about drugs, we're talking about ecstasy. And that's like what you were telling me when you're smoking weed. Sometimes you see a vision, sometimes you don't, and that is an important part of the artistic way of seeing things. I was so influenced by the book that I made my own version, Ludism, board games that will get you high. And it's not about drugs per se, smoke a blunt. It's more like you're getting quote unquote high without, drugs. And it's with games. And it's based on Ed Rosenthal's thesis.
Yeah, I wish I could remember what I was going to want you to talk about. Fuck, pissed off about it. I want to replay the fucking audio now. Whatever. I have bad days. This is one of them.
Right. Well,
Well,
I feel,
I look forward to Edward Rosenthal's book. That sounds
yeah,
like
highly recommend. I have all notes written on it. He'll go from anywhere from jogging to looking at clouds to it really helped me improve as an artist and how the viewer looks at art. In fact, when I was at, Modular on the Spot today, listening to some people's music they made on their synthesizers, I was thinking to myself, hey, this is like a hippie commune of us experimenting with Sims, taking turns at a time like a game. And we're all it's kind of there's non-interaction. We're just in the audience. We're a passive audience, but still I'm looking at the tree and I'm seeing something else. I'm getting a high and I don't even know. And that's what I find peculiar. And the music has the same effect when you're watching a concert or like dancing or moshing or something.
you think it does have the same effect.
I think like in an ecstasy in a club that you're hearing good music and you dance away, or you are in a mosh at a metal show, it has similar effects because then there's interaction. When you're the passive audience, you're just being an intellect and you're reading, right? You're reading in a one-on-one, it's a dialogue. But when there's interactivity, it's more than just two people, it's many. And that's what's really hard for people to understand, that if you're playing a game of Risk or Diplomacy, you're working with multiple people and it's not just a competition between two. It's not like just playing chess where it's a debate or a dialogue between two individuals. It's more than that. It's other people, and that's true interactivity. I wouldn't say interactivity is going to an ATM machine because that's a robot. That's just interface, So I'm thinking interactivity is better than interface, as said by Chris Crawford in his book, The Art of Computer Game Design. He's going beyond interface and into interactivity at the point where it's other humans using the medium of the computer to speak. And if AI gets so advanced and acts like a human, then it's more than just code. It's an emotional thing. It's an artistic expression, and that's how gamers express themselves in the medium of games.
Oh, fucking
So
Pilleater.
it's a lot to think. It's a lot to think about, but I'm just like regurgitating a lot what I learned about.
Well, this is why where I talk to you about, like, when I do these shows, I have to be so emotionally set to do them. And I today I was like, oh, we've got to do this one. It's Sunday. We got to do one. So I contact you, but I knew I wasn't emotionally all there. So, I apologize about that. I
No,
couldn't.
it's fine. I mean, sometimes you're on the spot and it's stage fright. I mean, I
I
was
don't have
sick.
stage fright. I have my emotional problems are from, hard human issues and, sadness and stuff like that I'm dealing with another
Mhm.
person. So it's like,
It's the trauma that gets to you and like the PTSDing and things like that. You
right,
can't
my
stop
mind,
thinking about it.
right, my
Yeah.
mind wanders off into that. I'm like, Shh, yeah, right. So
And you can't hear anything. I understand that.
that's
I
what's
mean,
going on.
I
And
mean,
that's
I've literally been sick for like, I think I have bronchitis. I've been sick for like 4 weeks because I had an infection in my lungs from some. I mean, hopefully it'll go away, but like for 4 weeks straight, I've been sick. And then when we recorded one episode, I was just, I was just, I think I'm getting a little, finally a little better after 4 weeks.
so you don't do you not do drugs or alcohol?
Um, I've had alcohol before and I've smoked weed before, but they were in situations where I was intimate with another person, and I don't do it often.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, it's a situational thing. Like alcohol should be a lubricant to be more social and to understand things, to build up the confidence instead of being shy. It's that. And as for weed, it was only in situation when I'm with, another woman in the room. It's not like, oh, or going out to a party smoking weed, because I think that's a little vulnerable. But when you smoke weed with someone else that's special, your lover, it feels a little different.
Totally different things. A lot of people, I get it. I come from a world of self-medicating, until I got medical help and stuff like that. It was a whole different deal. Um,
But I'm not an alcoholic and I'm not addicted to marijuana or drugs.
no, it
It's it.
sounds you're
That's the thing.
perfectly reasonable. I come from the poor zip code, and so many people use weed or alcohol as escape, not as enhancement or lubricant or a spice. And so that's a world that I've been in my whole life, you know.
I was just talking to the Machine Lies. He's another friend on YouTube. He has his channel, but I was just talking to him about this. He likes to smoke weed and do his podcast and his show, and I go on his show. But we were talking about how there was this kind of weird bias that began in 1960s with marijuana, where marijuana had this like cool Bob Marley, get laid back, fun. It's fun and games, and I'm just chill. And marijuana to this day has this prejudice of a lazy guy or just like, hey man, what's I don't know, like a stupid person. When far from that reality, marijuana has made people very anxious, very angry, and sometimes marijuana is like smoked within sports or something, or like
Yeah,
something somebody has to do. It's like people are forgetting the angry edge of marijuana.
well, certainly, I know marijuana very well. I used to smoke almost 2 ounces a week, to keep my anxiety and everything in check. Um, I trust this. I like going to a medical doctor and taking prescriptions rather than that, because being stoned all day is impossible to get anything done. And
Right.
I got a lot done being stoned all day. So I get the anxiety, the energy. People would always be like, "How the fuck are you stoned all the time? And you just work more than anyone else." And
Yeah, and some people are productive when they smoke weed, and therefore it's like a different, like, it's like some people will smoke weed and they become very incredibly violent, or they smoke weed and all of a sudden they're producing incredible art. So it's like an incredibly different mood between each individual, and you can't say that marijuana is just like fun loving, be lazy reggae. It seems like it's more than that. It has a different effect on people's minds. In fact, I would say it would make people violent in the right circumstance.
yeah, well, that's for sure. I've been very violent on weed, and it's because I couldn't communicate or understand what was being said to me. So it's
Mhm.
like the fuck, it was like everything was short circuiting to the point where I was like gonna start smashing things because I could not communicate with what I needed to. It was just the conversation was, it's like two drunks talking, you know.
Right.
It
Yeah,
just fucking, I'm so irritated with alcohol and drugs at
Mhm.
my age, really fucking irritates me, that stuff, and I come from drug culture, so how we romanticize that stuff when we were younger, and to see a lot of what our elders would talk about was true. It caused a lot of damage. I just think of the Howl, the Ginsberg poem all the time. A lot of times when I think of friends being alcoholic or drug addicts, and that poem always comes to mind when I have a friend die of an overdose or cirrhosis of the liver or something like that. So I've just been, that's what's on my mind right now, is this irritation with this fucking disease, and it,
Right. The same poem that says people getting, I think, quote, fucked in the ass. And that's what he had to go to court for on those lines.
who?
And how Ginsberg's poem?
Oh, right,
I,
right, right. Yeah, yeah. I had dinner with Ferlinghetti.
yes, yes, you were telling me of City
Uh,
Lights. Yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah. Please do tell me when I say my stories more than once, because
No, remind me. I liked it because there's always new more to, because I was
yeah,
at City Lights just like a few months ago. So,
but please keep me in check, because these stories, and yeah, so that was a big deal to me, big, big fucking deal, because I put out obscene books too, back when I was younger. So it was like, yeah, yeah, that was a great poem, but I think about it a lot, just like the life that, the lot that I hang out with are people who want a life. They don't want to live within the boundaries of this society. They want a life. They want fun. And they burn it, they burn themselves down to the ground.
mhm.
It's just sad. All that kind of stuff is sad to me.
Yeah, that was a pretty dark poem. It's like everyone dies in the end or something. It's like a sad kind of story about kind of like a dead gay pornographer museum of sorts.
To me, it was real. It was like the realest thing I had ever read. I was like, this is exactly how my life is. Like this, like this person's talking to me. Like I had read it after I just drove across country thinking I had enough gas money to work out, see what was going on over in California before the internet, and I ran out of money. And he talks about that in the poem. He's like, drive across the country to find out about these ideas. And I was like, I just did that. So it was just like this really cool artist, or people who are just trying to have a life, live a life, understand how valuable life is, and want some fun out of this. And
It's the line is who let themselves be fucked in the ass by saintly motorcyclists and screamed with joy.
yeah, yeah.
Blew or were blown by those humans, the sailors. I don't know. You're just telling me that motorcyclists and sailors are gay. That's why I think the bias is. I'm like, hey, if I'm a motorcycle, I'm not gay, but that's why I think is like motorcyclist sailors are gay.
Yeah, I love that poem. That's a good one. Absolutely love it. But like, anyway, it makes me think about how I don't think it's sad, but it's realistic. That poem is so realistic.
Mhm.
And it makes me sad that, like, people talk about all these different political things, but it's just like I wish we could agree on the idea that we want to have a life that, we want to work and have a life that we can love, or have some life. Like, we don't want to work at dead end jobs that deplete our life all day long, 5 days a week. It just doesn't. The
Yeah,
system does not.
Ginsburg makes the metaphor of
The system doesn't work. Anyway,
mhm.
it just doesn't work. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he makes the
I'm
metaphor of
fucking
Moloch.
watching Joe Biden, and now I'm fucking got everything's gone wrong with my head. I watched that
Okay.
debate. Now
It's
I'm
not
like,
is the TV's on? Yeah, the TV's on right now. Oh, I was just because Moloch is the thing Ginsburg makes the metaphor about that everyone submits to Moloch, and that's like almost
right.
a biblical Old Testament thing. We're submitting ourselves to Moloch, and we're never free from that. And Moloch is more. Um, I'm with you, Rockland. I'm with you, Rockland. In my dreams, you walk, dripping from the sea journey on the highway across America in tears to the door of my cottage in the western night. 5556, San Francisco.
My favorite line is,
Owl for Carl Solomon. Yeah, Carl Solomon.
Let me see. Dragging themselves through the Negro streets at dawn, looking for an angry fix. Angel headed hipsters burning for the ancient heavenly connection to the divine. Anyway, I like that right there. Dragging
Mhm.
themselves through the Negro streets at dawn, looking for an angry fix.
So it's like the white racialists become more into the Negro, and
I
it's
think
like this kind of weird.
well, how I read it is they go. You've got to go to the black neighborhood to buy drugs.
Right.
That's how I.
It's like Norman Mailer had a book around that time called The White Negro. And Norman Mailer argued in his little pamphlet was that like with all this destruction and Cold War happening, that whites are just going to become black and that all whites will basically become M&M types and hence you'll have the white Negro. And Norman Mailer, I believe that was 55, then the white Negro was, let's see the year. The White Negro by Norman Mailer is 57. So like a few years after how. So it's very similar to what's happening there. Is it true? I think it's partially true. I think maybe in the Chet Hanks White Boy Summer thing, yeah, that's a plausibility. Um, no commentary.
No,
No commentary.
no. I'm just listening to you. I should have something, I guess. What
I
I
know
should.
it's okay. So what do you think about the
I
failed
told you
Trump assassin?
my mind's all over the place. I'm like,
I know, but it's like, what do you think about the failed Trump assassination yesterday?
yeah, I have plenty of commentary. Like I said, I apologize, and we'll just have to edit out these slow parts. It's just one of those that's why it's hard. It's sometimes hard for me to, like, I, fuck it. We'll
You just
figure
gotta
out.
roll with it. Just gotta
Yeah,
roll with it.
well, that's what we're
Happen.
doing. We're rolling with it. So,
Mhm.
um, that thing is weird. The whole Trump thing.
Mhm.
I just have to take all of it as entertainment, or I'm gonna fucking go nuts and run into front of a bus. But
Right.
it does look fucked up. Like I guess the first thought was like, how many people think they know what they're talking about? And I read just really briefly, like, look at these snipers, they're whatever. And this one military guy's like, well, those snipers are probably had their guns pointed far, far away from. They weren't looking at 150 yards away. Those snipers are people who are looking 500, the furthest someone can shoot.
Mhm.
So they're looking they're looking way far away from where that person was. But everyone looked at a photo and thought they had the answers. And it's like, that's become really weird on online. Like people all have the answers and no one has the answer. Like it's really
Yeah, it's still a
thought we would have
developing
been more,
story.
I thought society would have collapsed by now because I've seen all this stuff online for the last 5 years. So I could have sworn we'd be eating each other by now. But I guess
It's accelerating. I think it's a little hectic, and I think it's will accelerate this decade. I think it's just the beginning. I mean, as cliche as that sounds, I think it's a lot of old narratives are falling apart.
right.
There's no more Francis Fukuyama, the end of the world idealism. It's like we're going past almost the baby boomer ideals and into something that's going to contradict everything of the past and like restart over. And I think
Right.
we're seeing that already.
Right. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I try to keep things. But what do you think about did you?
I looked into the shooter. I'm doing some info right now. The guy was named Thomas Matthew Crooks. Supposedly he was 20 years old in a Pittsburgh suburb, and he graduated from high school when he was 18. Uh, he was registered only as Republican because his dad was a Republican, but his mom was Democrat. He gave $15 to a Democratic campaign. And other than that, I think the Secret Service is looking into him because it's like, well, he probably got his gun from his dad, possibly, or I don't know. So whatever, he didn't really leave a manifesto. He didn't leave that much. There's the same old accusation he was bullied, but I doubt that because it's been 2 years out of high school. So for whatever reason, I think killing the president is something what John Hinckley or Arthur Bremer has done in their own grand ideals of grandeur. If I'll shoot the president and then I'll be famous or something. Mike Chapman with well, that was John Lennon, but it's a kind of the same belief. And with that young age being 20, there is some levels of depression. I'm not going anywhere in suburban Pittsburgh. Might as well take out the president. Try to at least. And I think it's like a death sentence in a weird way.
Oh yeah, suicide by cop or whatever. Right, right. That's a
Because he knew he was going to get shoot. So he said had nothing to lose. Secret Service would kill, and that's what happened. So it's like it was suicide by design. It's just that he wanted to take Trump out. He tried to take Trump out with him.
yeah, it's just a weird, it's scary because it just gets, you look online, it looks scary, like what could happen here? And
Right.
I would imagine the more Trump watches the replays and all the angles, I I,
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine. I have a great imagination, so I can imagine most things. But it's like
Right.
when he uncorks, because
The
he's
cork. What's
when
the quirks?
he's corked right now. He's quiet.
Who, the
Trump
kid? Oh,
Trump.
the Tron. Oh, well,
When
I think
Trump,
he's going on tour, but
that's what.
I don't know if they're going to let him go, Trump tour date because it's like I was actually watching the Butler thing, didn't think he would get shot the other day, but if you go to events on Donald J. Trump, obviously, oh, they canceled all events. Okay, weird. But if he wouldn't have get shot, then I guess he would be in Ohio or something, by tomorrow or Monday.
Yeah,
But he'll probably make a quick recovery. If you get pierced in the ear, he'll make. My guarantee is he's gonna make a video on his official Twitter, say I'm okay. I got this little dark elf ear
yeah,
going on. Everything's fine. If I do make a speech, you guys better not do copycat killers on me.
yeah.
So he's got to be aware of that.
He's got that PTSD. He's got all that bully stuff. So I can imagine like he is really freaking out. When he first took office, he had his own security detail. He hired his own security around him. He didn't want any Secret Service people. So that's how worried he was then. And so, I like listening to some of these things, like, the armchair, the people who are professional snipers, let's say, taught here's some facts about things. But boy, I, I would I guess I'm worried that the guy's going to come out and say, fuck an election. Let's start fighting right now.
I think the issue right now is there might be more copycat snipers. And if Trump goes back on the trail and he's out in Kentucky, some other dumb kid is going to try to kill him. It's bound to happen. Even if and so it's just going to kind of so people are going to be very suspicious when Trump goes out. There's going to be like incredibly high security. Like I saw Trump in 2016 at Westchester, Pennsylvania, and there was like no security. It was just like riot all, and this was like 8 years ago, which is crazy. And 8 years ago in Westchester, Pennsylvania, it was like totally fine. It was just like whatever, Trump's here, and just have fun. It's a little party. But I think now it's going to get more edgier, and it's like I think people want to fight. People want some kind of Sorelian revolution to happen at
Right.
any given moment, like
And
Black
he
Lives Matter.
right, he's gonna key into what he's watching these algorithms, and he's gonna definitely use some of that stuff in his next rant. But I just wonder how that's got to be, it's got to be nerve-wracking to take a bullet like that and to have to see things and have the paranoia that the people that are actually guarding you around you are doing that, because you can see things that might irritate, like, make someone paranoid, like the delay or whatever. You can, the way this is analyzed on the news shows, let's say, isn't always a professional.
Right.
Anal, anal, it isn't analyzed by professionals all the time. So it's like I don't know. I just
Well, there's already conspiracy right now. Sorry, there's already conspiracy right now where people are saying it was kind of everyone had a Mick essay, like McDonald's, a Mick essay, just like within 24 hours or 10 minutes. when Trump got shot. And everybody seemed to have their own special 2,000 word essays that were ready when this happened. And it seems like everyone stopped at work just so they can address the possible assassination of Trump. If that's kind of the reality, then you have to think how like fake the economy really is, because people would just continue on their day. But it seems like everybody orbits around Trump, and everybody has to say something about Trump in order to reap whatever attention that you have. And so it's kind of not about an assassination. It's more about how people have used their own instant gratification media to get your attention and stop what you're doing right now so you can consume in me. And I felt a lot of that when within the last like 30 minutes, everyone saw Mosley had a pre-planned essay there. And so that's where the conspiracy theories are revolving around. And I'm now looking into the whole JFK possibility of all this.
What's that?
Like the JFK assassination. It's like, what, do you blame the Umbrella Man? Do you blame the mafia?
Oh,
How come we didn't have a much, the JFK assassination is its own rabbit hole, and there's a whole convention for it. So,
right, right. And there's this thing. Trump, I guess, said he was going to release that, and when he was asked why he wouldn't, why he
mhm.
didn't, he was like, "Oh, if you saw what I saw, you wouldn't release it. It would cause problems." And so,
Yeah.
so imagine if he saw in these papers, like, yes, the CIA did whatever. He sees something that the government was behind JFK's assassination, and then he gets shot at. It would be really hard to want to operate with Secret Service.
Well, he's got Secret Service on his side, but it's just like, as Jason Reza Georgiani said, what if Trump knows about aliens? What if he's went to Area 52, 51, and he saw something, and then Trump's like, "Hey, listen, aliens are real." What's going to happen then? It's like, do you congratulate Trump for being the first president to admit there's aliens, or do you quickly shut him up or something?
Well, I don't think they have to shut him up. They work with propaganda now. There is no truth. There is like it doesn't matter. Even if we see video of it now, people might say that video of him leaving the event, certain parts of it look like AI generated. Like when his head, I was like, because I play with AI enough, I kept watching his, but the way his face spun or whatever, the way it moved, I was like, and I wouldn't be able to tell. I can tell the movement was weird. It was digitally weird and different because I edit video enough. But it's like I wonder if AI is now just helping all the editing with its subconscious AI. Like it's just, things are the TV stations have AI helping to edit things, so things are moving a little different. I don't think it was someone made an AI video for this to dupe us, but I did see some weird stuff when that video was playing. I was like, that's a weird glitch. Almost looked like a glitch.
Right.
Not sure what.
Yeah, there's a lot of like, here's the thing. It's like everybody's recording videos all at once in 24 hours today. Like you can watch videos of people walk in Wildwood, New Jersey on Sunday for 2 hours up and down the boardwalk. And you could do this 3, 4 days a week. In fact, you can make drones film this. So what's going to happen is that we're going to perfectly record everything for optional consumer friendly interests. Like there's so much crap released on YouTube and TikTok that everything is possibly recorded. So what's going to happen is that 20 years in the future, people will no longer have ideals of nostalgia is because nostalgia has been perfectly recorded on camera. So people would usually have this memory of, oh, I'm thinking of a video game that does not exist, and they're really conflating it with this obscure Japanese game or something like that. But now if you had today in 2020, 2024, filming perfect what that used to have been there, a shop, whatever, that's different from the filming technology of the 1950s. So by 2044, you can't really conflate the past if it's always been recorded as of today. In fact, video technologies is going to get so advanced that you will no longer have your own personal memory because we'll have exact information of actually what really happened. I could just say it's almost like if everybody during the Holocaust, if everyone had their own Snapchat, we would know what gas chambers and going on trains look like, but we didn't. And so, with that technology involved, we are now going to question a lot of things that a mainstream narrative would say about things or people's vague and cloudy imagination, what
And
really went down.
and now with AI, with the what photos we do have of like World War II situations, something like that, stuff like that. I would imagine that they would at some point be able to make a video of it where it's really close to being realistic because of the photos, the stories from multiple people that were in the camps, stuff like that. They'd be able to build a movie that is almost you're immersive, like you're in it. And that's how I feel. Oh, that maybe I was talking about the porn before. That's why I felt what the porn had the glass. Anyway,
Well, they're definitely going to make AI movies. They're going to make AI CGI
making,
movies
yeah.
and just like be done in a week. And then it'll be a whole genre of pulp AI movies
But
that people are going to watch.
have you played with Photoshop? Like take a photo of like
Uh-huh.
Anton LaVey, old one, and then make it bigger and go finish this photo and it puts legs and arms on them and shit like that.
Right, right. So
So
it's
that's, I
going to
guess,
be like a whole
that's what I'm
genre
talking about is
of
like being
AI
able to
pulping.
AI pulping.
Yeah, so you use AI technology in like a few days to create a movie or a comic or a novel, and you kind of make tweaks to it and call it your own art. And it'll be a whole genre where people are like, oh, I prefer AI movies and AI pulps because some of them, sometimes the dice roll and it's really good.
Well, yeah, I liked. I didn't know there was a word for it, pulping, but I like my plan for the next couple of years. I want to do like I want to fucking see how quick I could do zines.
Right.
Like I want to go. Huh, I want to. I got
AI is going to play a huge part in that, I think.
right,
AI is
right,
going to do that.
right. That's why I get it. I want to use AI as a tool to do some stuff like that. So I'm like, man, I would love to do a zine a week. Boom, 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 boom. Where it doesn't take.
In my new novel, Hole in the Wall, I used AI to create the front cover art. I just wanted a girl playing snooker in San Francisco in a 60s Peter Mac style, and it came out perfectly. I'm like, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. And then you just don't tell Amazon, oh, was it AI? No. It's just going to get so good, you won't be able to tell it's AI. It's my art. I made the dice roll, so it's mine.
They'll embed something there where you can tell. But
Yeah, but it's not
that
there yet, so it's
that
okay.
garbage argument is stupid too, because it's like, so what if it's AI? Is that watercolor or is it acrylic?
Yeah, right, right.
Digital. What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
It's watercolor. Mind your own business.
yeah, who cares if it's AI? Like, it's not that big of a, fire's bad. We're always cavemen. Like,
Otherwise, I have to pay $150 for a person to do original art, which isn't that bad. And sometimes I want it. But right now, it's convenience. I need AI to make quick art for it that's at least acceptable to my vision because I
right,
want
right.
people to focus on other things than me. And it's just the way capitalism and profit works, unfortunately.
Right. Well, I want to do this as an art project. Once I get settled in my next place, I want to start doing some stuff where, like I don't consider AI writing it. If I'm writing all the prompts, I'm doing all the research, I'm gathering all the materials. I've done some stuff with AI recently, for these weird court cases I've been working on. And it's like it kills. But it's my work. I sit there and put 4 hours of work into getting something that looks like, well, where did you get this from? AI. Oh, the AI did it. No, I did it. I did it. I pulled the trigger. I loaded the gun. Okay, yes, the gun fired the bullet, but
Right.
I consider it my work anyway.
Right. It's just how you use the AI to make it to your advantage, and then you use it and it's yours. It's just like Damien Hirst paying people to make art for him, and then he's like, "I'm the manager. I made it. It's my art. It has Damien Hirst on it." So I feel AI is the same way on a digital level.
But Damien Hirst, what artist hasn't done that? That was a big name artist.
Right.
Wasn't Rembrandt doing that?
I guess you have a team of people that work under Rembrandt LLC, and then
Right.
they're side people, and it's kind of like ghostwriting. I mean, Stephen King does it for sure. He's got a people of 11 people. He's like, listen, we got this, not, or better yet, Daniel Steele, in San Francisco. She probably has an office in her house in SF, and she's like, okay, I got 11 people here. Our next book is due in 6 weeks. John, Jack, and Joe, please write me a draft and get to it. This
Right,
is the
right. I get
outline.
it.
And then every Friday they meet. All right, we have two more meetings. This is published due, and that's how quick they get it out for like female pornography.
Yeah. Female pornography.
That's what it is. It's like written word rom com female pornography, and that's how Daniel Steele does it. It has to make sense though. It's not just garbage. It's has a high value of sorts. So you need a team to do that.
We have 3 minutes left. I apologize to everyone that I'm been slow today. This is the way it goes.
Right.
You know,
Well, sometimes it happens. You just record with it. It's just like the avant-garde. Back then in the 70s, if you had your camera and your doc, it was cool to just record people shooting the shit because to see someone so natural and normal, oh, that's so weird. I never saw that person like this before on camera.
I heard that from the original beats. I heard that from Ginsberg himself, where he's talking about you got to document things. And then John Sinclair and Bob Rudnick, all these guys will be talking about you got to document your stuff, record everything because they won't record it for us. We write our own history. Our history goes from mouth to ear. So that's why I've always documented things was because of that stuff. You know that
Right.
what they
Same feelings I have is that I'll never know what I was like when I was 23 unless somebody filmed it. And that's the weird part. And that's like so many, there's entire generations that we don't know. We don't know what Karl Marx was like when he was 25. It's impossible to know. There's only like pictures, but that's just an exaggeration. That's what I'm telling you about advanced technology is getting, we'll finally have picture perfect recordings of what people were like during, and we can make different
Brother,
judgments and
I get
criticisms.
that. I've studied technology forever. There's a reason I've uploaded all of my work to archive.org for 20 years.
Same. Right.
I make sure there's an archive of my stuff and I make sure it's out there and I make sure I gave it to rich people when I went to archive my personally and gave them to them and made sure made it on their global servers. And
Right.
so, you know, yeah, anyway, I'm I'm uh I'm looking forward to next week because you'll forget about this show
Or no, you could
well,
do it in a
see,
few
that's why
days.
I can't just do it on a Sunday. I've got to be able to go, yeah,
Well,
don't
you could try Tuesday or Wednesday. It's just
I
whatever
should
works
have.
for
I
you.
should have tried Friday because I felt like recording on
Just
Friday.
try doing 2 or 3 days. I have more free schedule. I'm kind of doing part time now, so it's okay.
You did say that. I just had forgotten. So
Yeah, I'm doing part time. I'm not committing that much. I'm not committing like 55 plus hours. It's probably gonna be like 35 or 40, but it's still like I have free time. Like I can get
how's
off work
this?
at 2.
How's this? When you get off work at 2 and you're like, man, I feel like recording. Why don't you just drop a Twitter and say, hey, you feel like recording
Yeah, I
today or
should do that.
tomorrow? And then I can do the same thing. Hey, I sort of got something on my mind. I feel like recording right now. And then I
Right.
can do that. And
Getting
then,
off your it's getting off your lazy butt just to press play and see what happens in a weird avant-garde art experiment.
yeah,
A very John Cage-esque thing for sure.
what?
Just to record. It's like very John Cage just to see what happens when you record sounds. When you
Man, dude,
record
I'm so fucking. I hope this court date at the end of July works out and I get my hard drives back. I doubt it. I know I won't. They don't work, but it doesn't matter. I have so much. I
even
had,
if you get your hard drives back, how old are they? And could they be
right. They probably
USB?
won't work. Oh, I get that. I said that in court.
Or unless you have like a Windows 2000 computer and you can just CDR
Bro,
it to.
I'm gonna hang myself. Okay, so just quit. Yeah, they probably won't work, but I had hundreds of hours of just audio recording right on the right. If we were sitting there hanging out for 3 hours talking, eating macaroni and cheese, that would
Yeah, perfect. It would
I
be
almost
perfect.
I
So in
probably had a
case if
thousand.
any of us died, oh well, here's info. So
I,
there's
hey,
library.
ShaneBugbee.com, Pilleater.com. Bye.
Bye guys.
Goodbye.